Hello and welcome to the show. We are back on BeamNG Drive, going to be taking some more vehicles around the Proving Ground circuit and seeing how long they can survive. We start with a new car. This is the latest official car to come to Beam. This is the Wendover. I actually quite like it. It looks quite cool. It's an interesting vehicle. It is front-wheel drive. Now I've gone for a kind of pace car style one, just for something a little bit different. This has got a supercharged V6. There's a lot of supercharging going on with this car, which is cool. Always like to see superchargers. We're going to see how it goes. Front-wheel drive. I mean, this circuit isn't the worst track ever for front-wheel drive in terms of destruction, but there is always the difficulties, there is always the dangers, if you like, of a front-wheel drive car, because a lot of damage is done to the front of the vehicle, because of the way you land the jumps, and, well, everything is being done by the front wheels, so power and steering and all of that good stuff could have some issues. We will have to wait and see how it goes, though. Some front-wheel drives, as I said, have actually been quite strong around this track. Others not quite so much. Oh, and that's a little bit too much understeer. I mean, so far so good, I would say, with this. It's had nothing major go wrong with it over these first sections. Now we're heading across the Toblerones. Always a bit nasty for cars. They'll get chucked around over there, but we deal with that no problem. Spinners, we should be alright to get through here. It's... oh, okay, slight bit too much understeer. It's by no means the biggest vehicle that we've driven. It'll fit through there, and I mean, there's no real harm done to the car. Radiator, I mean, there's always a concern with any vehicle going on. I don't know how strong the radiator is on this car. As I said, completely new car, so we will see how it goes. That's going to clonk a wheel. Oh, okay, no. Radiator's good. That survived. The front right was what I was concerned about. It hit pretty hard, but didn't actually break it. So... that's an important thing. If it lands at that angle on the wheel, and the wheel is still, I mean, not only is the wheel still attached and everything, it's still mostly pointing straight. So that's a good sign for this car in terms of survivability. If it can keep doing that, this could be on for a pretty good showing. We'll clonk our way over the next jump. That's fine. I mean, we've got damage at the front. It's mostly just bumper damage, though. And that's fine, you know, we can keep taking the bumper damage. Oh, I went to try and steer, and it just didn't really have anything. Yeah, you can keep damaging the bumper, don't care about that. It is hanging off. Little concerned it's going to fall under the car. Now, I'm, of course, as mentioned before, I'm allowed to use the node grabber to free stuck bits of bodywork, but that's as a last resort. I don't want to try and node grabber it here. And, ooh, induction system damage. That is new. I mean, I imagine that if a turbo car, you'll knock the turbo off. We saw that with one of the Cherriers, whatever it was called. That was the one that's put in the trailer. We saw that, the diesel. I think it was the diesel one that lost the turbo. This has not lost the supercharger. We've still got boost pressure, so I'm not quite sure what we've damaged in it. I mean, I'm guessing the induction could also just be, I guess, just normal air induction, maybe? Something's bent in that. It doesn't really seem to have had much of an effect on the car, but it is a new message, because this is the updated version of Beam. I don't really know everything that it's done, other than add a new car, of course. But yeah, apparently we now have a message for the induction system, so that's something that we might see from vehicles. Toblerones, crash, and it's a tumble for the Wendover. Is it going to fall back onto its wheels? Almost. It would be nice if it had. There we go. Clonks back down. Oh, we've lost the lights. The lights are busted on the top. Damn it. Steering still mostly straight on it. There we go. Does it? I don't know. Feels like it doesn't have great steering lock, but then the last thing I drove around here was a Baja bug that did have good steering lock from standard. But then got a lot worse. No, I'm impressed with this car's strength so far. I mean, it's still driving mostly in a straight line. Its suspension is all holding together. Oh, the radiator's gone. Yeah, I was more worried about the wheel on that big jump. Front-wheel drive cars landing heavily and pinging a wheel off, but the radiator going is bad news for us. It's now a ticking clock, essentially. This thing will overheat at some point, and judging by the temperature gauge, it's not going to be the longest living vehicle with a busted radiator. The rest of it, though, does seem very, very strong. I mean, we've got a little bit of a bent chassis going on. That is natural around this circuit anyway. We see the vehicles sort of getting buckled around here. It's just the way this circuit destroys cars. It is a real chassis and driveline killer more than anything. But yeah, it can still conk a radiator out on the landing of these big jumps. Hopefully it's only a small break on the radiator. Sometimes you'll get away with it. The water might cool the car down a little bit as well. We'll have to wait and see. At the moment, I don't see anything that's going to kill this car before overheating. That being said, I mean, this is driven to destruction. You never know. One big hit on a wheel and it's game over. It might not be, actually. This, because it's got such a big, powerful engine, I think that maybe this would have a diff that would allow it to be a one-wheel drive, like a lower limited slip diff or something. Maybe. Might let it be a one-wheel drive. This, perhaps more than a lot of front-wheel drive cars, may possibly get away as a one-wheel drive. I don't think we're going to find out, because the wheels actually look very, very sturdy up at the front. We're going to run a bit wide. The actual car itself is holding together very well. I mean, there's a bit of damage on the roof from where it fell over, but I mean, even the front end that's been crashing into the floor doesn't really look like it's in bad shape, really. It's not completely smushed up. You know, we're not pulling badly. I think we are pulling a little to the right, but nothing major here. Temperature is kind of held. It is going to gradually start creeping up. The water will save it a little bit, but it's not going to be enough to save it. Right, big jump is coming up. Have we lost some, like, max? Oh, that's a little bit twisted. Not really done too much. I would say, have we lost some maximum kind of boost? Because it was going up higher than it is now. We still have some, but it seems to be gradually going away, maybe? Now that may be... I don't know. I'm trying to think out what that might be. It's supercharger driven off the engine, but we're still using as much throttle as we would before. The engine isn't damaged yet. It shouldn't be losing power yet. It will do when it starts overheating, but yeah, we definitely lost some boost. But it kept... It's different. The death of the supercharger potentially on this is considerably different to what we've seen from the turbo death, that is literally just a hit and that's it, it's gone. This seems to have just reduced the boost. There goes the engine torque. Now we are in trouble. Wendover, we're going to make it onto another lap at least. That's something. Again, without the overheating, the rest of this car is remarkably tough. The steering is now a little bit bent, but that and it is only a little bit. I mean, I've seen vehicles have worse steering after 2 jumps, let alone, you know, a good number of laps like this thing has. If we can get it to the water, we can buy ourselves some time. I mean, it's not going to be enough. The water's not going to... Oh, got a big wheelie going on there. Yeah, the water's not going to buy us enough time to completely... it doesn't seem to have done very much. Oh, I thought I had actually put it down into first. Apparently not. It's cooled it a bit. It has cooled it a smidge, but is it going to... Oh, yeah, so the turbo the supercharger is really going. The car is struggling now. It is on its last legs, as is to be expected, really. As I said, outside of the damage to the radiator, the rest of the car is tough. It's a strong vehicle. Can we fit it through the spinners? We do. Come on, out the other side we go. We're going to head towards the shafted jump. I mean, we've got the temperature back down again. There is a potential here. Depends on how poorly the engine is. The temperature has actually gone down because we now go. We're going slower, but we have to work the engine quite hard because we're still going to be flat out going up these hills, for example. I don't know. It's kind of calmed itself down in terms of engine damage. Whether that's going to remain, how long that's going to remain for, I do not know. As the supercharger dies on this, we could have issues as well of having to work the engine very hard. Because you'd basically be drawing power to run a supercharger that's not then giving any boost. So that could really cause the car some issues. Just work the engine harder while it's overheating. That's going to break it. But we've got around to this point on this lap, and it is... I mean, outside of being slower, is it any worse off than it was before? Not really. can it keep going like this? Could it possibly keep it set? I mean, we haven't gone back into the orange yet. I mean, this is good for the car. The repeated crunching on the ground is going to break it eventually, I would imagine anyway. Something's going to. Something is going to stop this car. There is no doubt about that. I just don't quite know what at this point. One of these crunches, surely. I feel like we might have lost some front suspension. Certainly front left does not look like it is. Oh, does not look like it has any suspension travel left anymore. I mean, we saw the big wheelies going on from the car. Yeah, there's definitely some serious suspension concerns going on at the front of this. Oh, we are through the water once more. So we've kind of leveled out the damage in some ways. Do we have... Ooh, we might have... Do we have... No, we might have some suspension issues at the rear left as well now. It's poorly. It's going well, but it is a poorly car. Just clonk and clonk and clonk. It's still good. Okay, Wendover. Let's see. Oh, easy does it through there. We're fine. See how long you can keep going in this current state. This isn't the first vehicle we've seen do this. They sort of overheat, it gets close to overheating, the engine gets damaged, and then it somehow manages to get to a point where it calms itself down and then drives about fairly normally for a while until something goes pop. My steering is getting worse. Oh, we've almost lost the lights. The lights are flapping on the roof. It is... We can't lose the lights. I mean, that would... That would be the worst thing to fall off the car, other than perhaps, you know, like engine and stuff. But still, we don't want to be losing the lights if we can help it. If this lack of power gets any worse, we're going to be in trouble. Mostly because we have to run it almost max RPM in first, and that really will blow the engine to pieces. Oh. Okay, well, we'll go through the mud. That's fine. Yeah, mechanically speaking, this is a tough bloody car. Because yes, it has definitely got some suspension issues going on with it, but it's still going. Where this is don't be another car that just refuses to give up. I mean, it's always impressive when they do that, but also, how are you still alive? How are you still doing this? Across the big jump. Oh, there goes the lights. Well, the lights have fallen off of it. The temperature has gone back up again. Yeah, the suspension. I mean, the suspension is buggered a little bit. It's still absolutely fine across the speed bumps, though. It's not pinging the car around wildly. It is doing what it needs to do. The coolant's overheating now in the car. We will get a refreshing drink of water up through there, which is something. I might not actually quite got. So the thing with that corner is if you go too far in the water, you just kind of aquaplane off into the rocks. If you don't go far enough into the water, you don't actually get as much cooling. And by the looks of it, this time around, we have got some cooling, but maybe not quite enough. Come on, I mean it's still fast enough to be carrying on here. Still more than fast enough to be carrying on actually. Oh, there we go. Make the corner. Thank you. We've got to try and get our way through the spinners once again. Still no real concerns for the steering. I mean, if I let go of the steering, we do turn right, but again, I've seen a lot worse from cars. I've seen an awful lot worse from cars after a lot shorter amount of time. This is not really a problem. It may mean that we take jumps a little funky, because you're just fighting the car constantly. But I'm not sure. We're going decent speed. Yeah, I mean, we're still doing 50, 60 miles an hour up these jumps, so it's still got some pace about it, so it's still hitting the ground with some force. That engine does not... Do I want first here? Maybe. I mean, considering it barely got any cooling through the water last time around, it's still somehow dragging itself about. We're up over Dover. Oh! Again, a bit of a clonk on the landing. This is a tough old engine. I don't know if it's a Legrand engine. It might be. That's the other sort of V6 from a similar era kind of car. So maybe it's the same engine that the Legrand has. I think it really is dying though. I'm trying to keep it going. We're trying to keep the car alive somehow. Just trundling along, big jump. Again, before I say big jump, not as big as some of them have been. The temperature gauge is maxed out. We again come crashing down, but it's over 10 miles. The head gasket's gone. I think we're now beyond any sort of cooling help that we can get at the shallow grave. The screen is just filled with steam and smoke and all things bad, pretty much. Come on, car. Tell you what, the vehicles have got more and more stubborn. This track is an absolute car killer. There is no doubt about it. And as the series has gone on, cars have got incredibly stubborn trying to make it around here. Oh, through the water we go. The other thing with diving through the water, the other concern you get is you lose a lot of momentum, and trying to drag a very, very busted car out the other side up that hill is not good. Come on. I mean, the temperature gauge has gone down, but it is now, we've lost even more performance in this. Surely it can't. Surely it cannot keep going indefinitely like this. Oh, yeah, steering is bad. Oh, in this way. Steering is bad and the doors got caught by the spinners. Not that they matter, you know, the doors, that's fine. We have basically got to rev the nuts off it in first if we're going to get anywhere now. Oh, second gear, it just kind of dies a little bit. This is not a good condition car anymore. Can it make it up the hill? I would presume so. Which is going to be a... Oh, clonk on the nose. I mean, it's bent the front up, but... yeah, it's still doing really well. In fact, the temperature gauge has gone down all the way to the middle. How has that worked? How has that worked? Oh, the supercharger's gone. So we've completely lost any sort of supercharger here. If this gets much worse... I mean, it can do 30 miles an hour. It is technically still alive as far as the crawler rule is concerned. It is going to fall off these jumps and just smack its nose into the ground. But it's not going to do much more than 30 here, really, I don't think. We've got front bumpers hanging off. In fact, the engine has now got cooler than it's been in the last 10 minutes. How has that worked? I'm having to drive this, but I'm in first gear and I'm flat out in the Wendover here. How is it doing this? How is this engine still alive? It shouldn't be. There is no way this engine should still be going. The steering has got a lot worse, which is a concern. Don't really want to go to second if I can help it, because I feel like we're going to go to second and then it's just going to die again. In terms of speed we're talking here. Come on, car. I mean, I can't do the decent thing and give up, because I fear we may actually just be cruising around here indefinitely until something weird goes pop in it. So whoever made this engine deserves a raise. It has been... it's just not given up. Like, the mechanics of the car are really strong. I mean, this is a great test to show just how tough this car is, because, yeah, it has been incredibly tough, this vehicle. Oh, it is still... it climbs up the hill. Because, yeah, the actual steering, the fact that the steering still works, the fact that everything suspension related is still working, is remarkable for a front-wheel drive car. Okay, it has slowed down a little bit, but a lot of these jumps, it's still landing straight on the nose. It's still doing landings that would kill most front-wheel drive cars. So, yeah, it's a tough vehicle, this. But most impressively is the engine. Come on, you've still got some drive left in you. Don't... oh, God, don't understeer. So, yeah, get the steering right. It isn't the easiest to control. Alright. I know, the other thing that I have, you'll notice that I'm spinning the camera around to the side. The reason for that is if I have the camera behind it, you just get a screen filled with smoke. So I'm trying to get some sort of visibility. I know it means my perspective is a little wonky, but that is the reason why we're doing that. Come on, Wendover, get up this hill. Okay, there's another huge crunch on the front. But it's not dying. This could legitimately go to the top of the leaderboard from being just the most stubborn engine I've ever come across. The supercharger is ruining a lot of what's left of the power. This must be running on like 10 horsepower by this point. But it is still running, that's the thing. You might have 10 horsepower in your Wendover, but it will still be working somehow. I mean, the front crash structure must be doing a hell of a job, because every time it's landing on it, but it's not breaking the wheels. The wheels are perfectly happy in this. Again, another big jump for the car. The chassis is getting buckled. I mean, you can see by the roofline how much the chassis is disliking what's going on here. But still, the car does not give up. It soldiers on for another lap. I mean, it is flat out around here at the moment. Can't be good for the engine. I say that. You've seen the state of the engine. Oh, and again, we clonk. I think we are starting to bend it more now. I mean, it's all a concern. I'm not really sure what's going to happen if this keeps bending the chassis. Nothing good. Nothing good is going to happen. What might happen is we're going to catch the underside on the checkerboard. That's the name of it. I remember my own circuit. Yeah, I think we may see the underside getting caught on that as a thing that will happen. Oh. Come on. Back to first. And then it could rip important parts of the vehicle off. Or just, if the underside starts getting caught on the checkerboard, even if it doesn't snap anything significant immediately, it's going to catch on the chassis, bend the chassis, and then it gets worse. So, yeah, we definitely don't want that happening. However, it's still got the clearance. It's still got the clearance. I mean, again, the engine cooled enough. I'd say for a little longer. It surely cannot go indefinitely like this. I know I've said that. I said that 7 miles ago. And the car continues to surprise. Something is catching on the speed bumps now, which is I say a testament to how broken the vehicle is. Come on, second gear. I think Dover's actually the biggest concern, because we can't really go very quick over there, so it literally is just always landing on the nose. Here, it does land on the nose a bit, but it's not as bad as it does at Dover. Oh, let's say that. No, that's quite bad. It's still going. And still the Wendover soldiers on. Come on, car. Oh. Yeah, I'd just like some more speed. Either give up the ghost or find some more speed is ideally what we want here. Not that it's never going to find more speed. It's, you know, busted at this point. Oh, up the hill we go in first. Oh, again, we hit on the nose. Every time around, you can see the roof bow that little bit more, because I don't know how heavy it is, 1.5 tons, maybe a little bit more than that. It's just landing straight on the nose of the car. Oh, come on. We're still good. We're still carrying on. The engine is stubborn. We are running it flat out to try and get it over these crests. If I put it in second, it's just going to die. So that's why we are revving the crap out of it in first. Rod bearings are now damaged. The overheating is getting the better of it. Oh, there goes the door. It's fine. We're losing some weight. It's what we need to do. Just shed all the weight. It will help the performance. You know, it will help with that in theory. Something crashed across the speed bump. I don't know what that was. Bits of the car. See here, it's not really going fast enough. It just lands back on the suspension. It's not good. I mean, you know, airborne with a road car is not really what they're supposed to be able to do. However, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to damage it that much compared to what we do elsewhere around the course. We are struggling with speed. I think this might be the end of the engine. The engine is gone. Actually, the whole engine, yeah, the engine's locked up. It's broken. It's dead. That is a hell of a stubborn car. A stubborn engine. As I said, the actual mechanics of that vehicle for a front-wheel drive is one of the toughest cars I think I've ever seen. Yes, the engine dying. The engine died, but didn't die fully, so it was still driving around at 30-40 miles an hour. But you got to bear in mind that landing over Dover, for example, is still a very big hit for a front-wheel drive car direct on the nose. So, yeah, that is one hell of a stubborn car. The final vehicle to run today is the General Yi. Yes, we have got a Moonhawk, kind of a bit of a reinforced Moonhawk, essentially. No supercharger on this one. I don't know whether the induction damage has been added to all vehicles or whether it's just the new vehicles. I don't quite know how it works, but we have no supercharger on this, just big, naturally aspirated V8. The Moonhawks have not fared great around this circuit. I think the Moonhawk convertible did okay, but this track has not been good to the Moonhawk, which is, I say unusual. Already the bonnet's come up, great. I say it's unusual. The Moonhawks have tended to be quite strong on previous destruction circuits, but this one has not gone well for them. The cover has tended to be not very good at other circuits, but does work around here. It's the nature, the way this track breaks cars. The Moonhawk, it's really the chassis, I think, that's the concern. We have had one where the rear axle sort of dislodged itself and was hopping around for a few corners before the car gave up. The drive shaft is always suspect on these front-engined rear-wheel drive cars that are very long because, well, bending of the chassis goes on pretty much. We will see, though. As I said, this is a little bit more a reinforced version of the car, so maybe a smidge stronger. Radiator is normally pretty good in the Moonhawks. That's why they are so difficult to kill. I say difficult to kill. That's why they have tended to survive. They don't often overheat. Not impossible, of course, but yeah, it's stronger than a normal car. That being said, though, the Wendover lost its radiator on lap, what, like 2, and didn't stop it from going around. Oh, we're going to get a big clonk across there. Didn't really get the car straightened up. In fact, it already feels like it's got a little wonky steering going on here. Nothing major. Wobblematic suspension, as I call it, these classic cars, does tend to be quite good at absorbing the nastiness of the circuit. It's good absorbing the nastiness until it starts to break, at which case you have catastrophic and hilarious failures. It doesn't break often, but when it does, it is, yeah, very, very entertaining. Oh, that's not what I needed. I got a kick of oversteer at the wrong time. Do not want to go off jump sideways. That is bad. Has it actually done anything? No, not really. That's massively saved us. That could have been a lot worse. I say, has it done anything? I think my rear right suspension is gone, or at least part of it is gone. I don't know if it's all gone, but it's definitely not sitting properly. That's why you don't want to slide off at the end of a jump. Downside of big, powerful rear-wheel drive muscle car on dirt is if you get it a smidge wrong, you can be in trouble. Definitely, yeah, I mean, you can see like the actual body isn't sitting properly anymore. Or at least I think the body isn't sitting properly. Sometimes the body gets bent and it looks like it's not sitting properly when it's just the bending on the body. My front suspension's gone as well, hasn't it? It looks like it. Great. Well, no front suspension. We might only have one corner with working suspension. Oh, didn't really want to do that angle, but it's better than some of the options that can go on. Oh, the back end just got thrown from side to side across the bumps there. Well, not really bumped across there, sort of the tabletop. We will get through the chicane. No problem at all. As far as reinforcement goes on this, I don't know. Car, can you find a gear, please? It looks horrible on that rear suspension. Oh, it got caught on the checkerboard, and that is it. That's the end of the drive shaft. That is the end of the General Yi. It's just, I guess it's front suspension damage. Maybe lowered it to the point where the front could catch, and as soon as the chassis or whatever catches on one of those checkerboard parts, clonks and just tears the drive shaft off. That I am surprised by. I was expecting that to survive at least a little bit longer than that, but yeah, lost the drive, and that is going to be the end of that. On to the leaderboard, and we have a new second place vehicle. The Wendover will, yeah, go into that second spot. Beats the T-Series, beats the work van. It cannot quite beat the Grand Marshal estate car, but still, that was an incredibly resilient engine. That really, really did not want to die. It just kept going and going and going. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the strength of the rest of the car as well, not just the engine. The rest of it really held together remarkably well. Now, we do have to go a little bit further down to find the General Yi. It didn't have the best of runs. It's down in a 75th place. It beats the D-Series, beats the Ambulance, the Legrom, but yeah, just front-end suspension damage. Had the front of the car running very low, caught a bump and tore the drive shaft off. Common thing, really, with some of these sort of classic muscle cars, shall we say. So yeah, there we go. That is going to be it for this episode. As ever, I shall link all the mods used in the description, so you can download them and have a go with them yourself. That, though, shall be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.